everybody, Backyard Bullion here. Welcome one and all to my humble silver pouring bench. I hope everybody's doing alright in this crazy world of lockdown and quarantine. Despite the lockdowns and quarantines, we are still pouring silver in the Backyard Bullion household, and today we are going to share some pieces coming to life in the form of some big chunky 10-ounce bars, and if we've got some time, some Tetris pieces as well. We're trying to get a batch of silver done and ready to send up to the Edinburgh Assay Office when they reopen. For those who don't know, all of our silver needs to be hallmarked, and that's not an option at the moment because the assay offices are closed. So the aim is to get a batch of silver ready so that when things return to some semblance of normality, we can get things done and sent out. Today we're going to focus on probably the 10-ounce bars that we want to make, more so than the Tetris pieces. I might show a few of the Tetris pieces being poured, but the 10-ounce pieces is where it's at. Who doesn't love to see big chunky pieces of silver being poured from molten silver, which will be in this graphite crucible, and it's really fun to watch. So if you've not seen one of these videos, then you're in for a treat. We're using casting grain here today. I always find that this yields the best results in terms of pretty ripples, which is what Backyard Bullion poured silver is all about. Little known fact, I get this asked quite a lot: where do I get my silver from? I buy it from the European Mint, but they source their silver casting grain from the Royal Mint of Canada, which I think is fascinating. Of course, not entirely sure where the raw silver comes from, probably from Mexico to the Royal Canadian Mint, and I think it's fascinating that these things have such huge kind of global footprints, you know, mined potentially in Mexico, sent to Canada, refined, and then sent to Estonia, and then sent to humble old me on my kitchen counter here in the UK. So that's what we're going to crack on with. Of course, we're not quite ready yet. The crucible's not even gone in the furnace. That's just warming up as we speak. So we'll be back in a little bit to pour some silver and do some really cool 10-ounce bars. And these are going to be quite special because one of them will end up as a giveaway prize for the Silver Forum. But more on that as we go throughout the video. So we'll see you in a little bit to pour some silver. Okay, we are ready to pour some silver. Wish me luck. Well, that's a very pretty looking bar, I have to say. You never know quite how they're going to come out when you pour. It's a very fulfilling and frustrating hobby to do because you can never replicate the incredible pours that you do, and sometimes things come out really nicely, sometimes they come out and they don't look very good. That is a rather tasty looking bar. I'm very happy with it. So we are now going to quench it. Now, I also get asked, why do you quench your silver? Do you need to quench your silver? Well, no, you don't technically need to quench silver. It's not like steel. You don't harden it or anything. I'm sure there's some people out there with much more knowledge than me that will tell you that there'll be some chemical properties happening when you quench silver, but I just do it because we want to see it, we want to hold it, want to feel it, and to do that you have to make it less than 900 degrees centigrade. And that noise is also very satisfying, don't get me wrong. So we have quenched it and we're now going to weigh it. I think this should be well in excess of the 10-ounce minimum that I wanted to set. Let's just zoom out of here. Now, these are not the world's most accurate scales. We've got a pair of very good scales, but I don't really want to put them on any kind of hot surfaces and potentially damage them. So this is just a, let's see if we're above 311 grams, and then we can do accurate weights another time. 318, perfect. So we are over the 10-ounce mark, which is exactly what we wanted. And once we can clean all of this up and get it looking even better, we will. So that is the first one. We're going to pour a couple more. You'll see there's a little few specks of graphite which have got in there, but those will clean off with a little bit of sort of vinegar and a few little bits of very fine sandpaper to get rid of those. But otherwise, I think that's a pretty cool looking bar. I love the long elongated ripple, absolutely gorgeous. So that's the first one. We'll be back in a few minutes, or a few seconds for you, but it will be probably like 20 minutes for me to get that much silver molten again. So see you in a moment. Okay, so the silver's nearly up to temperature, but I just wanted to show you guys I've cleaned up the first bar and it's looking really nice. We've got the leaf there in the middle of the ripple cooling pool. And as you can see, the graphite's come off really well. So a few more little bits of cleaning and polishing to go, obviously, before it's all done, and then stamping all the particulars, and off it goes to Edinburgh when they open. But for now, we are going to get the mould hot again and pour out the second bar. And when you have bigger bars like this, you tend to have only really 2 goes at it with the one sort of cycle that you get within the graphite crucible. So again, you know, it's very time consuming doing all of this pouring silver, especially when you get slightly bigger pieces. The smaller pieces you can do a little bit more, you can do more volume of pieces in the same equivalent amount of silver being melted. So yeah, wish me luck. Here we go, second big bar of the day. Throwing my blowtorch around everywhere. Let's get that up before we set the kitchen on fire. There we go. I always want to try and prioritise the red hot molten things before dealing with little instances like that. But anyway, we have another really good looking bar, and this one's actually really pretty, I have to say. Hopefully it'll have hit over that weight threshold. So let's just try and flip it out. Always more difficult with the heavier weighted bars because silver's very dense, if you did not know. So here it is, and we're going to go and quench it now. Lovely sound. Absolutely love the sound of quenching silver in the morning. Who does not? And there we have it. Oh, still quite toasty warm, but just about hot, cool enough to touch. The lovely ripples, not quite as much graphite on there, a little bit to clean up, and hopefully that'll look just stunning when it's all nice and clean. So that's the 2 big bars. And well, you'll do have to excuse me, my camera decided it would be a good time to run out of battery. So as I was saying, there's the 2 big bars done. Now we're going to do a few smaller pieces. We've got some Tetris pieces to make, and we're also going to do a tiny little round. So hopefully we can get those done in the second bit of this video. So hang fire, and we'll be back in a moment with some more silver to pour. Okay, we're back, and now we're going to do some smaller pieces, which is a completely different kettle of fish to the big bar molds that we've just been doing. It requires a lot more hand-eye coordination, and I like to think a little bit of skill. You know, you get used to things, but I think there's a lot of skill involved with smaller pieces. I've always said it's harder to pour smaller pieces. So first up, we're going to try this little round mold here, and then we're going to do some Tetris pieces as well. So here we go. Very nice little pretty piece, and then we're going to go straight into Tetris. Now you can see I'm not even recharging the mould, it's because there's, or the graphite crucible I should say, because there's enough silver. In fact, I'm just going to give it a quick pause, because what we need to have is the blowtorch slightly lower down to the Tetris pieces, because you can see there's a distinct difference between the ripples. It's quite good actually that it's worked out like this, because you can see the difference. So nice ripples on this round here, and then you can see that the ripples are less defined. They're a little, a lot smoother around the edges, and the ripples themselves are a little bit chunkier and bigger. And that's because it's cooling a lot faster, because the blowtorch wasn't quite as close to the mold as possible. So rather than waste some time and pieces, and more importantly heat within that system, I'm going to keep those pieces because they're quite cool, they're quite pretty, but we're going to put a little bit more silver in, come back in a few moments and pour some more Tetris pieces. Okay, so now that the flame is much closer to the mould, it'll just give that extra millisecond of time before the silver solidifies, and it'll yield those much nicer, prettier ripples, as I'll show you just now. So here we go. Alright, looking good, and then we're just going to go around the mould as quickly and safely as possible and get as many good looking ones as we can. This middle one's always tricky. There we go, just about good enough. See if we can get one more. big tall chunky one. I think that's all we're going to get out of that mould, and that was its last cycle in the furnace. So that's us for the day. We have poured a bunch of Tetris pieces, a couple of other little fun things as well, and nearly threw that everywhere. Got to be very careful with these things. Right, let's just move that out of the way for the time being, otherwise we're going to burn ourselves, because one of the easiest, well, this is a really easy way of getting all of these out of the mould, is just to tip it upside down holding the gloves, rather than trying to arse about with all of the pliers and what have you. So there we have all of the different pieces, and here's a prime example of why we want to make them look as good as possible, because you can quite clearly see the difference here between these two. The one on the top is the one we just poured, and the one on the bottom is the one where the flame wasn't quite so close to the mould. So lots of difference there. I know it doesn't seem like it should make a lot of difference, but it does. So that's where we are with all of this. Now, for those of you who are going to ask, because I know inevitably you will, the two big bars are spoken for already. They were commission pieces. These Tetris pieces are just part of huge production that we're starting now for Tetris, because for some unknown reason to myself and to Mrs. Backyard Bullion, she always says, why are people ordering them? We've had a colossal amount of Tetris sets and pieces ordered, so it seems like I'm going to be doing nothing except pouring Tetris pieces for the next couple of weeks in the build up to the end of lockdown. So if you are interested in a Tetris set, then let us know. They all do fit together really nicely. I'm not going to play with them when they're red hot, but you can see that they look quite cool all next to each other. We do them in a nice wooden frame. If you would like to grab hold of one, then please do feel free to email me directly. My email is in the description, but it's byb@backyardbullion.com, and we can hook up and sort out a Tetris set. Otherwise, if you enjoyed the silver pouring, if you enjoyed the silver flowing, then please make sure that you hit that like button and share this video around on your social media to let everybody else know that Backyard Bullion pours silver again. Otherwise, if you want to see videos from us in the future, hit that subscribe button. Thank you one and all for watching. I want to sign off as usual by saying a big thank you to all of our healthcare workers and key workers out there keeping us safe, healthy and fed. Really do appreciate all your hard work. Stay safe, stay inside, save lives, and we'll see you on the next one. Thanks for watching, and please make sure that you like, share, comment and subscribe for more.